My first PyData talk. What do you know? So it sounds like I'm speaking to a crowd of much more experts than the people who showed up to the meetup that I heard him speak at. So I will skip over this. So the example he gives in his talk is actually scraping the members from the meetup.com webpage that was for the event for the talk he gave. And it's pretty impressively easy what you can do with just straight up curl, grepping through the results and checking if maybe a member is attending or not. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. And there you go. Here's how to check if Jared Pavlika, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, attended that meetup talk way back in May. Let's see. Working with headers. If somebody sees something fly by that they're interested in speaking about or discussing.
Why would you use elementary if you have beautiful soup?
I believe he put that in there to illustrate more, like successively more and more powerful libraries that are at your disposal, building up from like maybe more simpleton approaches in the past and easy to use libraries to more complex libraries with more control. I'm not sure he was indicating that this might be an approach you would want to use. So yeah, so this is another iteration of tackling the same challenge, checking out whether Jared attended this talk using Beautiful Soup. As we established, everyone's used this library and it's pretty easy. What else would be useful for you? Okay, so most of the room have used Scrapey. Has anybody not used Scrapey? So this library is actually particularly interesting to me because I haven't used it myself. So would anybody be willing to kind of give a general description of how Scrapey works and what its use cases are? For those of us who aren't familiar.
It handles a lot of interesting cases where you'd want to attach like automatic processors, so you could beautiful soup off the end of Scrapey, like immediately. The more complex you make the spider, the slower it runs, and also the less spiders you can have running at the same time. It does not play very well with, at the time, this is like 2012, it didn't play very well with swapping out proxies and IPs and things like that. So in fact, we ran 10 instances on the same box, but that's not very polite, so don't do that. Scrapey is pretty well built out, or it was 4 years ago. So it's running on top, I think, of URL-lib or one of the other iterations. It handles things correctly, even in the case where, I don't know, your box explodes, like it'll shut down all the sockets and stuff like that, so it's not gonna run out of resources like that. But one of the limitations we found was that because you want to scrape quickly, Scrapey had a blocking sort of issue, that when it's trying to process one of them, your instance can't asynchronously, like, oh, I'm waiting for this server to get back to me, let's check on the other ones, right? It doesn't do that at all. And I think that's kind of a Python issue. There have been a lot of solutions on other fronts for this Python issue. Coroutine do that, for example. But at the time, it wasn't very good at that, so what we did instead was just fire up 10 kernels and then have them swap out, trying to talk to the same network card. That ran into other issues, so eventually we abandoned it and just bought more boxes.
What was your name?
Daniel.
Daniel, awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that description. I think that was a very good description of the library. Use case with Scrapey that they'd like to share where it maybe succeeded for them?
URLs from, so the URLs can depend upon the type of the product or the model of the product. So the task is to write a web crawler, which would basically crawl all the web pages that are present in a particular model, and then return the list of URLs or the unique web pages that are present. And every page inherits the common menu. Basically, so if you are writing 120 pages will have the common menu, but there could be some URLs which are not present in the menu, but which may appear in a web page dynamically. And if I just get the home page and get the links from the URL, that might not be the right number of unique web pages or number of pages I have. So I have to crawl each and every page. So what I did, basically I use URL lib, and then I also gave an option from any of the page you can start, and then that process will take that as a start page. And then I used BFS, I'm not sure, the breadth first search algorithm. So I created my web pages as a set of graph, and then I started from a particular URL that would be treated as a root node or the root of that graph, and then it will just scroll each and every web page. And from URL lib, I was getting the HTML, and from that I was basically grabbing for the A tag, like the href tag, getting up the URL, and using BFS, that was just giving me the unique URL. So at the end when it runs, it basically crawls each and every page, and at the end I'll just return the result, which is the list of unique URLs or unique web pages in a particular.
Cool. So you're actually able to implement a version of Scrapey all in here. That's neat. Is everybody familiar with like a breadth first search approach? Okay, excellent. I love that everybody's on the same thing. Okay, well let's take a step forward from Scrapey to see where Greg would have taken his talk next. So here are some common problems, and I'm not particularly familiar with how to tackle a lot of these, but I'm sure you're all familiar with the infinite scroll of Facebook newsfeed, and maybe like interactive maps. I guess that's referring to something like Google Maps. Has anybody maybe approached or encountered one of these problems in the wild and had success overcoming them? Would anybody like to share with us examples?
Yeah, the infinite scroll, yeah, you can't do anything except like kind of put a limit. So so one of our use cases was look at home pages, then do some vision, see how many divs there are, and then find out in those divs what that particular website is promoting. So it might have 50% off jeans and 40% off something, and then also correlate that with Twitter and Facebook handles to see if they're promoting the same thing or they're promoting something else. So sometimes, yeah, you run into a home page with infinite scroll. So then you just kind of set a threshold saying that, okay, you can't scroll to the next stop.
And what company do you work for, sir?
This is a company called Quad Analytics, which does insights for e-commerce merchants, marketers, and hedge fund analysts.
Very cool. That's really interesting.
So I had a different approach to infinite scroll. This was 3 elections ago, I guess, but I wanted to scrape the primary results from CNN, and they had this kind of thing. And instead of trying to do it through like a web scraping framework, I just like fired up a packet sniffer and watched what API was actually living on CNN.com, and just like went straight to that because it was coming back as the JavaScript API anyway, right? So, or JSON API anyway. So that has worked really well for me, is to like don't go through the web browser kind of thing, like figure out what it's actually talking to and going directly to that.
That's cool. That's a neat approach.
Did you have any authorization, authentication issues, or was there any APIs open?
Yeah, CNN didn't seem just left it open. I mean, it was a little interactive map kind of thing, right?
I feel like as long as you're polite, they should be able to feed you the articles directly.
Yeah.
But how do you get stuff in the case where the site is relying on the browser to render it? So I don't understand. I mean, if it's just raw HTML, yeah, grab it all.
Right, so that's why. So this was kind of like basically Firefox in a headless mode. And then kind of running the full browser and actually grabbing the entire render page.
Without seeing the browser. That doesn't mean there's no, just a process that's not.
Right, so Fire, you can run Firefox on Chrome and it's small, and then you can wrap around it.
You just inspect it, whatever the DOM and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's multiple ways. So one way is, yeah, okay, here's the XPath, what is the attribute you need, what's the XPath, go get it. But we were trying to make the whole thing a lot more decorative, because often sales will come and say, hey, we need to add like, William Sonoma and Tom Shoes, like within 2 days. So then, to write the robot, you have to be really fast. So we try to make it as decorative as possible, where the machine learning would suggest some tags for simple things like price, and that was all straightforward, but for more complex ones, it was difficult. But try to make it as decorative as possible, like sometimes like color, like that may be embedded in the description of the car. Or you have to use CNN and say, oh, okay, or look for things which are like swatches, because color is often represented as swatches. Right, so you kind of detect, we call it layout detector, and we presented it at a conference called MIPS. It was pretty publicity.
I think it would have been the rendered HTML, like flattened out in order to feed it to your parser.
No, so that's what, you run Firefox.
Browser.
And it's like running a browser.
Okay.
It's just running it programmatically.
I guess you say, what's the interface to the headless mode?
Yeah.
Oh, so then you get from Selenium on top of,
Okay.
Selenium is just scripting.
What I was asking is there a Python library they can do that, the,
Extract the objects
Yeah.
from the browser.
Yeah.
or can actually render the DOM and like the browser would do. Is there a Python library that can do that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting for these full data. People just use like a canvas to like write text or whatever and just render their website in just one big thing, or it's coming, if it's like pixels coming down from the server, then you really have to image files.
Yeah, so we use Phantom.js and Selenium, and ultimately we choose Selenium because it was a lot more full featured for what we wanted. Whereas Phantom.js, yeah, it is useful, but sounded more like a testing tool.
Can I stop you for just a second? How many people have used these two libraries in particular, Phantom.js or Selenium? Okay, so significantly less. Would someone be as willing as yours to give another description of those two libraries if you use them?
I can just describe everything. So, yeah, I'm gonna do it, because here we go again. Both Phantom and Selenium are headless browsers. I'm not as acquainted with all of the tech behind them. Selenium was originally a testing suite for testing out, like, I want to make sure this works on an 86 at the same time as Opera. Well, Selenium. And also, it'll do through the whole click progression. So you could actually programmatically, through Selenium GUI, say, click on this, click on this, click on this, do a mouse circle, click on this, and it would do it. Unfortunately, it's usually very slow in my experience, but that's okay for testing. Using it to scrape, I've never actually done successfully, but I could imagine you could do it very well. Phantom is intended for this, but is newer. I don't know much about it. I think it's actually intended for scraping instead of for doing testing. So that's good. On the other hand, it uses some JavaScript magic, which I'm not acquainted with. So, yeah, anyone for Phantom?
What about the timing? If you're programmatically clicking on buttons, isn't there like a time issue? You can't like, click, and put in like 1 millisecond or something? Can you do that?
Yeah, there is an issue. Sometimes you need to let your car sleep for a second or
Just
second, yeah.
you introduce a sleep and you sleep for like a second.
But most of the time, if you need to crawl website, crawl the data from website very fastly, you need to find out to hit their API. It's much faster than use Phantom and some Selenium. Phantom is faster than Selenium because Phantom didn't draw the whole website. The Selenium, you can use the Phantom under the backend of Selenium, and you can use also Chromium or Firefox or IE as Selenium backend. But I think the most important thing is you need to find where is the data you want on the website, and how which connection help you to get the data behind the website. So
If I have to click 6 times to get to the spot where I want it, then are you saying I need to get the callback for each of them?
yeah,
I mean, what if each one's, it's not the same all the time?
yeah. Usually I use Selenium or Phantom to help me deal with the login process because a lot of websites will do a lot of quotation in login process, like Facebook. And after you log in, you can get a lot of headers and cookies, and you can use that kind of header and cookies. And you can use Scribe or request, and you can get data very fast. But if after login you still use Selenium or Phantom, then you can get data very slow because they are very slow. Yeah.
Yeah, the classic use case is the product page, right? You go to the product, you choose color blue, then you have large, extra large, all of that. So you got to kind of, so first you select blue, then you have to iterate through all the other options, then maybe there's fabric, which is cotton, silk, whatever. So you got to, so the combination becomes, it explodes. So if you want SKU level data, but that's kind of what you have to do because the price per SKU might be different. Like the silk shirt is probably $100, whereas the cotton shirt might be $20.
What he's saying is you're trying to avoid actual pull downs and clicks, you're just trying to get the callback with the credentials and then get the.
Yeah, there are various techniques, but this is kind of foolproof, like clicking through.
That's
So it's slower, but you know, if you scale out the operation, then overall you can kind of get it done.
But doesn't those websites change their content based on the user? So it's sort of like, don't I mean, if I.
No, but not like the layout. So the first part is to get the layout, right? On this page, like, they don't change it per user. The layout itself, yes, certain elements might change, but the structure remains the same, but it may change.
You said the
Like-
product landing page.
Right, like for electronics, it might be different than for like a pair of phones, right? So the structure, but so the first part is like run through a bunch of URLs, figure out the layouts, which is kind of a machine learning problem. And then once you have the layout, then you have the attribute extractor for each of those layouts. Because there you're like, it's just a matter of which attribute, which extract.
So, I guess some of us were here because we were interested specifically in the dynamic content scrape, because that to me at least is really hard. So people who use, like New York Times uses Optimizely, change out article titles. So if you're scraping New York Times, you're going to have a deduplication problem, just an article title, which is annoying, and I think they do it for the like paragraphs and stuff. It's cool, but it's also bad for people scraping. Does anyone have experience with that? Because I don't have a good solution yet.
Okay, so why do they do that? What's their?
They want to A/B test.
Okay,
you
so
know,
that's just their little.
yeah, it's good for them because they get to find out who clicks on Donald Trump first instead of Hillary. Whatever you title the article.
I think if the data comes from HTTP protocol, you can easily to crawl it. Even if agents, you can easily to crawl it, use Selenium or Phantom, or you can try to observe the API. But if the data comes from WebSocket, then it is really hard to crawl. If the live stream on WebSocket, there are a lot of data comes from WebSocket. You can see that Market Watch, for example, Market Watch, they will provide the pricing data for a lot of stuff, and it comes from WebSocket. So you need to control the socket connection, then you can crawl the data.
A lot of times they're not sending just JSON, they might be sending some binary thing that you don't even know to serialize it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So at this point, at the end, Greg usually likes to give a demo of our sub, which I'm not able to offer you. But there is a video on his website. If you guys are interested in watching it, I can go and play it over.
Sure.
So that was-
is that a Chrome plugin or is that just part of the car side?
That's, I believe that's within their web app.
Okay, so you navigate to a site through their site.
Right. And I have to admit, like, it was pretty wild. On the right here, he's selecting fields and encoding directions for how the application should scrape and crawl through the website. And then I believe you have the ability to encode like how you want the data to be stored and persisted, what format you want to record it in. I was hoping there would be narration over this. So yeah, there you go. It's a short project.
Yeah, this company called Import IO, right? And it's something similar, you just draw a rectangle around the HTML page and then it gives you the XML.
So has anybody tried one of these commercial solutions for web scraping and having success, or is everybody mainly their own web scraping wrangler, infinite samurai?
Related questions, are there any open source solutions, maybe not as cool, as sophisticated, but they kind of do job most of the time?
That's actually really good
I
question.
just
I'm not sure.
Googling around, I found this thing called Splinter that apparently wraps a bunch of these headless browsers, and it's Python. So apparently it might make it easier to do something like this.
What's the name?
Splinter?
Splinter.
Splinter.
I don't know. And it also has drivers for Chrome and Firefox, which is kind of cool, I guess. I've never used it, a little distracted. So if you want to push stuff through Chrome and Firefox, maybe that's it.
If you want something super quick and dirty, you can also do a little bit of scraping directly in Google Sheets. So you can basically type in a formula that references a URL in another cell, and it'll go and get the first table in the page or whatever, and then you can just like build the formula down, and it gives you a bunch of.
Google's been doing it for years.
Yeah. Well, so this time slot is supposed to wrap up at 10:30. I believe we're sitting at 10:35 now. I do apologize that Greg wasn't able to come and speak to you, but there is a potential that he may be here later on today if you want to find him down and ask him some more direct questions, because his whole entire profession is scraping, and he's a pretty knowledgeable guy about it. But I hope I've been able to help you guys provide some value in this short little discussion, and thank you guys all for being patient and understanding.